Kundalini, serpent fire, solar serpent, pineal gland, breathwork, frequency, sovereignty. These are not random words strung together. They are fragments of a memory that has followed humanity for thousands of years. From the temples of Kemet to the hidden chambers of India, the serpent fire has been revered, concealed, and feared, not because it was false, but because it was powerful. Kundalini is not mythology. It is a mechanism. It is the living current written into your spine, into your breath, into the silent geometry of your DNA. And it does not belong only to sages or mystics. It belongs to every human being born into a body. Yet here lies the paradox. If Kundalini is within all of us, why have so few awakened it? Why has the serpent been spoken of as legend rather than fact? The answer is simple. A human fully aware of this inner flame cannot be controlled. Sovereignty begins the moment the serpent stirs. This is not a teaching of escape, nor a promise of bliss. It is a remembrance. The serpent fire does not come to soothe you. It comes to dissolve the false self, to burn away illusion, to awaken the solar serpent that was always waiting within. If you are here, listening now, it is because that current is already moving in you. The only question is, will you resist it, or will you allow it to rise? Activation. Write in the comments, I remember, the solar serpent is rising.
Chapter 1. The Hidden Flame. For millennia, the truth of Kundalini has been protected like a sacred flame. In the temples of Kemet, in the tantric schools of India, and in the mystery traditions of Africa, it was never taught openly. It was guarded, whispered from master to initiate, passed only to those who had proven they could walk through fire without being consumed. Why? Because Kundalini is not simply energy, it is sovereignty. And sovereignty is the one thing no empire, no religion, no system of control can afford to give freely. To awaken the serpent fire is to remember that you were never meant to live as a follower, never meant to remain asleep in borrowed beliefs. You were designed to awaken, to rise, to carry the solar serpent within your own spine. In today's world, knowledge is everywhere. Secrets once carved into stone are now scattered across screens. But information is not transformation. Reading about Kundalini is not the same as carrying its fire. The ancients knew this well. The serpent could either illuminate the temple of the body or burn it to the ground. That is why it was hidden, not to deprive you, but to protect you. Because when the serpent stirs, it changes everything. The illusions that kept you small cannot survive. The false self begins to dissolve. And what rises in its place is not just awareness, but power. Activation. Write in the comments, I honor the hidden flame within me.
Chapter 2. Not a myth, a mechanism. Kundalini has often been dismissed as myth, reduced to poetry, or wrapped in layers of mysticism. But the serpent fire is not a story, it is a mechanism, a living design woven into your body and consciousness. At the base of your spine lies more than bone and marrow. It is the root of an ancient current, a coiled intelligence waiting in silence. The vagus nerve, stretching from brain to gut, carries the signals of life and death, fear and ecstasy. Your breath is the switch that can regulate it. With intention, with rhythm, with awareness,
Breath becomes the steering wheel of the serpent fire. Deep within the brain, the pineal gland holds light-sensitive cells able to perceive inner illumination. Your DNA, spiraling in sacred geometry, responds to vibration and frequency like an instrument tuned by sound. These are not metaphors, they are biological facts hidden in plain sight. Kundalini is not a floating concept, it is embodied. It is the resonance of breath, the awakening of the pineal lamp, the reprogramming of DNA through frequency, the nervous system electrified by serpent fire. And just like electricity, this current can either light your temple or burn it down, depending on how you prepare the vessel. The ancients never doubted this. They did not need microscopes or laboratories. They mapped the serpent in architecture, in ritual, in the human body itself. What modern science calls coincidence, they understood as design. So let us be clear, Kundalini is not legend. It is the most profound mechanism of human evolution. And the moment you allow it to rise, your life will no longer follow the patterns of the past. It will burn through them and reveal what was always hidden underneath. Activation? Write in the comments, I awaken not the myth, but the mechanism.
Chapter 3. Breath is the code. If Kundalini is the hidden mechanism, then breath is the key that unlocks it. The ancients never treated breathwork as optional. Breath was the sacred code, the bridge between body and spirit, the rhythm that could summon the serpent fire from its coil. Every inhale sends signals through the vagus nerve, shifting the state of your entire being. Every exhale releases tension, guiding the nervous system toward balance. When breath becomes intentional, it transforms from simple gas exchange into resonance, a vibration that reorganizes the inner temple. The old traditions knew this well. Pranayama in India, the breath of life in Egypt, the Qi of China, the Ruach of the Hebrews, all spoke of the same truth. Breath is power. Breath is memory. Breath is initiation. With each conscious cycle, you are tuning your instrument of awareness to the same frequencies that shape galaxies. 111 Hertz, 432 Hertz, the tones that entrain the brain, heal the body, and awaken the spirit. To breathe with intention is to remember creation itself. Before there was light, there was vibration. Before there was matter, there was sound. Every inhale is a return to that primordial origin. Every exhale is a surrender to it. And when the breath is patterned with rhythm and awareness, the serpent listens. It begins to stir. The greatest secret is this: your breath is not just survival, it is the code that awakens the Solar Serpent. The ignition switch was never outside you. It was in your lungs, your spine, your heartbeat, your voice. And every conscious breath brings you closer to remembrance. Activation. Write in the comments, I breathe to awaken the serpent within.
Chapter 4. The Lamp of the Temple. Hidden deep within the brain rests a tiny organ shaped like a pine cone, the pineal gland. For centuries, mystics and initiates spoke of it as the seat of vision, the lamp of the body, the eye of Horus, the third eye. They were not speaking of fantasy, but of an inner flame, a light concealed within the temple of the human form. The ancients built symbols around it. In Egypt, the eye of Horus mirrored its geometry. In Vedic tradition, it was the Ajna chakra, the point of insight. Christian mystics called it the lamp through which the soul perceives light, and though modern culture dismissed it, the memory of its importance never vanished. The pineal is more than an organ. It is a lens turned inward. It is a compass pointing not to the stars above, but to the galaxies within. Its geometry echoes the spiral, the same rhythm that shapes seashells, galaxies, and the rising motion of Kundalini. When the serpent fire ascends through the spine, it does not stop until it touches this hidden lamp, igniting vision, not with the eyes, but with awareness itself. In that moment, sight expands, not hallucination, but perception. The realization that consciousness is larger than thought, larger than form. The ancients said that to awaken the pineal is to see the invisible, to remember the unseen, to feel the patterns of sacred geometry woven through existence. The temple was never built of stone. The temple was always your body. And in the heart of this temple, the pineal gland is the lamp waiting to be lit by the rising serpent of light. Activation. Write in the comments, "My pineal is the lamp of the temple within."
Chapter 5. DNA, the serpent's language. Coiled within every cell of your body is a secret script, DNA. For science, it is a biological code. For the ancients, it was the living language of the serpent. Two strands entwined like twin fires, spiraling upward in sacred geometry. Across cultures, this spiral was revered. The staff of Hermes, the twin serpents of the Caduceus, the rising Jed of Osiris, all spoke of the same truth. Life is written as a serpent, woven into the very architecture of existence. When seekers entered sacred spaces, they were taught to listen for vibration, to feel resonance, to align their inner temple with the great spiral of creation. Breath, sound, and intention were not mere practices. They were ways of tuning the human instrument so that the serpent fire could rise in harmony with the double helix of life. To contemplate DNA is to remember that you are not separate from the cosmos. The same geometry that shapes your being shapes the galaxies. The same spiral that curves in your cells dances in the seashell, the hurricane, the stars themselves. This is why the serpent has always been sacred, not as a reptile, but as a pattern of memory, a rhythm of ascent, a symbol of the solar serpent awakening within the human form. To recognize it is to recognize yourself, not as random matter, but as part of a living code that has always carried the imprint of life. The ancients whispered it, the stones recorded it, and now the memory stirs again, written in every breath, every heartbeat, every spiral of your being. Activation. Write in the comments, "My DNA remembers the serpent's language."
Chapter 6. The danger of premature light. Every fire brings warmth, but fire released too soon can also consume. So it is with Kundalini. The serpent fire is not only illumination, it is transformation. And transformation does not always arrive dressed in peace. Ancient teachers warned that the serpent was never to be summoned casually. It was not a performance, not a spectacle, not a promise of instant bliss. It was a force to be prepared for, a secret current demanding strength, humility, and grounding. Without preparation, the fire can feel like chaos, a storm inside the temple before its pillars have been set. That is why initiates spent years in discipline, silence, fasting, movement, chanting, communion with the natural world. They built containers strong enough to hold the current, so when the serpent stirred, the temple did not collapse but expand. In our time, many encounter glimpses of awakening without map or guidance. It may arrive suddenly, through grief, through love, through the breaking of identity. And when it comes, it feels overwhelming, like light bursting into a vessel too fragile to hold it. But this is not failure. It is initiation. What shakes within you is not a punishment. It is the false self dissolving. The serpent fire does not rise to destroy you. It rises to unmask you, to burn away what was never truly yours. So remember, the flame is not your enemy. The fire is sacred. It will test the strength of your vessel, yes, but only to reveal that you were always meant to hold more light than you believed possible. Activation. Write in the comments, "I welcome the fire as my teacher."
Chapter 7. Maps of Kemet. The ancients of Kemet did not write their wisdom in books alone. They carved it into stone, into temples lined with the stars, into symbols that still whisper across time. These were not ornaments. They were maps of awakening. The Jed pillar was more than a column. It was the spine, a reminder of stability, of energy rising from root to crown. The Eye of Horus was not simply art. It mirrored the geometry of the pineal gland, the lamp of inner sight. And the caduceus, later adopted by other cultures, revealed two serpents spiraling upward around a central axis, the same sacred pattern coiled within the human body. To modernize, these appear as myths, as symbols of gods and rituals, but to the initiates, they were instructions hidden in plain view. They were blueprints of the inner temple, guides for the journey of the serpent fire. Even the architecture of the Great Pyramids spoke in the language of resonance. Their chambers were tuned to vibrate with specific frequencies, designed not for the dead, but for the living seeker who dared to enter. To stand inside such a chamber was to feel the body hum like an instrument, reminding the soul that creation itself begins with sound, with vibration, with breath. Kemet did not separate spirit from body, science from sacred, energy from matter. For them, all was one. And in that oneness, the serpent was not feared, it was revered as the map of human evolution. These symbols were never lost. They live within you still. Every breath, every heartbeat, every spiral of your spine is a page from the ancient atlas of Kemet, waiting for you to remember. Activation. Write in the comments, "The temple is within, and I remember."
Chapter 8. The Solar Serpent. Across civilizations, the serpent has always been more than an animal. It was a symbol of rhythm, of energy, of wisdom coiled and waiting to rise. But in the hidden schools of initiation, the serpent was united with another power, the sun. Together they became the Solar Serpent. The Solar Serpent is the marriage of earth and sky, instinct and illumination, matter and spirit. It is the fire of the body joined with the light of the heavens. To awaken this current is not simply to feel energy moving. It is to reconcile the opposites within you, to become whole where once you were divided. In Hermetic tradition, the serpent was Sophia, the wisdom coiled in matter.
In esoteric Christianity, the sun was Christ, the radiant Logos made flesh. When serpent and sun rise together, the fragmented human self dissolves, and a greater presence takes its place, the remembrance of divinity already living inside you. This is why ancient temples aligned with solar light. This is why serpents were carved beside solar discs on the foreheads of pharaohs. The message was simple. Sovereignty is born when the serpent within meets the light above. To feel the solar serpent is to feel life itself awakening in your veins. It does not ask permission. It does not wait for institutions. It rises where it is honored. And once it begins to move, no shadow, no illusion, no chain can hold you in place. The solar serpent is not outside of you. It has always been inside, waiting for you to remember. Activation. Write in the comments, Solar Serpent, rise in me.
Chapter 9. Sovereignty. When the Kundalini rises, it does more than ignite energy. It erases programming. The old patterns that once dictated your life begin to crumble. You no longer move as a follower, repeating scripts written by others. You begin to walk as a creator, shaping reality with awareness. This is the essence of sovereignty. Sovereignty does not mean control over others. It means freedom within yourself. It is the recognition that no system of belief, no external authority, no invisible chain can define who you are. The serpent fire burns through those illusions, leaving only what is real, your own living connection to Source. For centuries, cultures of power feared this truth, because a human who has remembered their sovereignty cannot be enslaved. Not by systems, not by dogma, not by fear. That is why the maps were hidden, why the serpent was covered in layers of myth. To keep humanity asleep was easier than to face millions of awakened beings who carried the solar serpent in their spines. But the tide is turning. One by one, seekers are remembering. With every conscious breath, with every step into resonance, the false walls collapse. What emerges is not chaos, but freedom. Not rebellion, but remembrance. Sovereignty is the natural state of the awakened human. It is not given from the outside, it is claimed from within. And once claimed, it cannot be taken away. Activation. Write in the comments, I choose sovereignty over programming.
Chapter 10. The 7-Minute Ritual. You do not need temples of stone. You do not need secret chambers. The first temple was always the body, and the first ritual was always the breath. Even a few minutes of conscious practice can begin to prepare the vessel for the rising current of the solar serpent. Imagine 7 minutes set aside not as routine, but as remembrance. Minute 1. Ground yourself. Feel your body connected to the earth. Let the weight remind you that you belong here. Minute 2 and 3. Breathe in rhythm. 4 counts in, 4 counts holding, 6 counts out. With each cycle, the nervous system softens. The vagus nerve begins to resonate. Minute 4. Hum softly in your chest. Let the vibration ripple through your spine, like a gentle echo of the serpent fire. Minute 5. Move the spine with subtle waves, as if the breath itself were guiding the movement. Minute 6. Place awareness at the center of your brain, where the pineal lamp rests, and imagine it glowing brighter with every inhale.
Minute 7. Sit in silence. Whisper within. Solar Serpent. Rise in coherence, not in chaos. This simple ritual is not performance. It is attuning, a reminder that your breath, your spine, your heart, and your awareness are already aligned with sacred geometry. It is a way of building the container gently, steadily, so that when the serpent stirs, the vessel is ready to hold the light. The ancients left us maps in stone. You carry the living map in your body, and every conscious minute you give it to it becomes an act of sovereignty. Activation. Write in the comments. Coherence first, awakening second.
Final call. The coil remains open. Kundalini, serpent fire, solar serpent, pineal gland, breathwork, DNA, frequency, sovereignty. These are not just words, they are signals. They are memory. The journey does not end here. The serpent never rises once and stops. It coils, it spirals, it ascends in rhythms. Each breath, each choice, each moment of remembrance, calling it higher. The maps of Kemet, the chants of India, the whispers of the mystery schools, all were pointing to this. The temple was never outside you. The serpent was never a myth. The light was never absent. You were always carrying the flame. Now the coil is open. The current is moving. The only question is how far you will allow it to rise. If you feel it stirring even now, do not ignore it. Honor it. Anchor it. Let it remind you of who you are and what you came here to embody. Activation. Final. Write in the comments, I remember, the solar serpent is rising. And share this message with someone close to your heart, because two conscious breaths held together can alter two destinies. The time of memory has come, and you are the form it takes.